Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Hakeem Jeffries gets absolutely smoked on CNBC. Maybe there is hope for the mainstream media. They might be changing their ways. Let's dive in.
There was an election, and the Republicans were put in a position where they were able to pass the big, beautiful bill, or you call it the big, ugly bill, to then say, we don't like any of that, so we're going to shut down the government until you take back all the things that you duly passed through legislation. If Republicans had tried to do that to the Inflation Reduction Act or the any of the acts that Biden and that administration have passed, if they said we're going to shut down the government because we don't like any of those things you did, we're going to not pay our military, we're going to, not allow the government to reopen until you do what we want. After an election where the American people put Democrats in power, you'd be going crazy. You'd be going crazy about using a shutdown of the government with a continuing resolution to get what you want just because you don't like what the Republicans did. It's not how it works. It's bad. It's bad precedent, and it's just clear. And you're talking about the House. You've already passed this. The Senate is who we're talking about, and they have a bill which will reopen the government right now with 5 more Democrats.
What is bad precedent is the Republican refusal to engage in bipartisan negotiations. What is bad precedent is the Republicans embarking on a my way or the highway approach from the very beginning of this Congress. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Joe, you're exactly right. So if the government shuts down, they've made the decision to shut the government down. And they can reopen it right now if they chose to with a rule change in the Senate. But I just explained it. The reality is they want to keep the government closed. Cruelty from the very beginning of this administration has been the point. And the responsible thing to do is to sit down and negotiate a bipartisan path forward to address a very real health care crisis that's upon us right now. Open enrollment starts on November 1st.
Can you do those negotiations while the government is reopened? I think that's the offer that's been on the table. We did hear the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, talking about how, look, he passed a clean CR. There's not really much for him to politic in because there's nothing to take out. Any Republican pork that they pushed into this to take out of it to offer as a way of getting around this. Can you reopen the government and have these conversations if there's a willing party on the other side, which it sounds like there is if you talk to some of the Republicans who see this as an issue in their district as well?
Well, certainly Marjorie Taylor Greene has made clear that it's a very real issue. It's an issue that Republicans have ignored throughout this year, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed right now. Mike Johnson has made the representation, including at that White House meeting that we had last week, after Chuck Schumer and I reached out to demand that we have the conversation. Unfortunately, it took place literally a day before the government shut down because Republicans have refused to engage in bipartisan negotiations or even conversations up until this point. And our view is what Johnson said is that health care is an irrelevant, extraneous issue. No, it's not an extraneous issue. It's a central issue. And we need to deal with it right now. And we're willing to sit down and have that conversation. We want to reopen the government.
But you're not going to fix this. That's a negotiation that is going to take a very long time. Employees, including the military, are not going to get paid on October 15th. Can you have these negotiations?
And that's an issue that we believe should. And that's an issue that we believe should be dealt with respect to our troops in a bipartisan way, in a manner that it has been dealt with in the past in previous shutdowns,
in the past, including in October
of 2013.
Right.
I'm talking about in October of 2013, where as a standalone issue, the military pay for our families and men and women in uniform was dealt with. That's what I'm making reference to. So who should get paid besides the military? You think the TSA agents should get paid? Where does the line stop for who gets paid and who doesn't? The law requires everyone to be paid, and unfortunately, Donald Trump has once again suggested that no one is going to get paid, which to me is consistent with the efforts to undermine the rule of law that we've seen from this administration from the very beginning.
But Leader Jeffries, we know that there are varying opinions on both sides of the aisle, sharply differing opinions on how to do everything. And you've just outlined a lot of things that Democrats, a lot of problems they have with Republicans. Republicans have a laundry list of things that happened during the Biden administration that they feel the same way about. And I guarantee if they had shut down the government and said, we want a bipartisan talk on doing all this, but what Republicans want, Democrats, their hair would have been on fire. Democrats would have said that's not the way to do it. You can't do it through a government shutdown. And now you're employing that same tactic on what I'm sure you feel are very important issues, but it just looks like, politics as usual to a lot of people.
Y'all, Hakeem Jeffries is not having a good time. All right, he got called out by Mike Lawler yesterday and got roasted in epic fashion. And now CNBC is correcting him on basic civics. Okay? Remember, folks, in the Senate, there's something called the filibuster, where you need 60 votes in order to pass something forward. This happens on occasion. Every now and then they can use something called the nuclear option. When you can't get that 60 votes for other things, for nominations and such, well, the rule goes out the window. But the filibuster basically allows for senators, if you can't get to that 60 vote, to basically shut down debate and try to move on to a different topic. Furthermore, you can also use your own ability to keep talking ad nauseum. You have the ability to speak at the well for as long as you physically can. And after all, one of my favorite movies, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, isn't a documentary, but it's based on reality. Hey, y'all. According to new reports, central banks around the world may be buying twice as much gold as official reports suggest. Yeah, you heard that right. Twice as much. And get this, they're bypassing traditional markets and buying directly from miners in Asia, Africa, and in Latin America. That means no US dollars, just physical gold. This shift isn't just symbolic, it could be strategic. They could be looking to bypass traditional Western markets. So if central banks are scrambling to reduce their dollar exposure and own more physical gold, should you do the same? That's where the award-winning precious metals company Goldco comes in. Right now, you could get a free 2025 gold and silver kit and learn more how gold and silver can protect your savings. Just go to politibrawlgold.com. Plus, you could get up to 10% back in bonus silver just for starting up. Go to politibrawlgold.com. That's politibrawlgold.com. If you can physically talk and stand up, and you have the well, you can go on as long as you possibly can. It is an amazing rule that has allowed the American system to be incredibly unique and not be given into direct tyranny, unlike so many parliamentary systems. This unique rule allows for extra scrutiny. It also, however, allows for tomfoolery of the highest order and can absolutely gum up the works. So the very thing that gives us the strength is also sort of a weakness. It's sort of like taking steroids. Yeah, you're going to get those gains, but you're also going to come at the expense of your ligaments and possibly some other side effects. And so I'm kind of surprised they actually don't bring up the filibuster in this scenario. And I asked the question when I started this video, is the mainstream media learning its lesson? And I think that omission is on purpose. If they wanted to bring up the filibuster and really talk to Hakeem Jeffries saying, I have a laundry list of Democrats that keep talking about how they want to end the filibuster and maybe even get rid of the Senate entirely. Now you're using the filibuster for your own political ends. In this case, the shoe's on the other foot. What's the deal here, Hakeem? And so that's why, since that question was not asked, I think the answer is no, the mainstream media still has not learned its lesson. They are still offering him softballs here, and Hakeem Jeffries is barely hitting him. This is how low the Democrat Party has gone. This is the best they can do right now. That and Katie Porter. They can't answer these basic questions. They can't answer the follow-ups. They look like deer in headlights because they have forgotten how to evolve. As the Republican Party has realized that, oh, the mainstream media is indeed out to get us, to make us look bad, to make conservatives look as dumb as possible, we need to adapt. And they have. Furthermore, as with the rise of the internet, the podcast sphere, and of course yours truly on YouTube, we have the ability to get around this sort of nonsense. Meanwhile, the Democrats have ossified and they're stuck on the cable news networks that will continue to spew out a bunch of nonsense to rich white liberals in their gated communities. Yes, I know I've talked about these issues ad nauseum, but that's part of the point. Until things change, I'm going to keep bringing it up. So Hakeem Jeffries cannot even answer this stuff properly. He can't admit, and I don't blame him, because if he admits that, hey, yes, we are using the same tactics, that further breaks the veil of illusion, okay? It's like going into a movie theater. You know when there's that random fourth wall break and the joke isn't any good? It's not like the Muppets or a Mel Brooks movie. It's this really jarring, dumb moment where you're just scratching your chin and going, what did I just watch? And it breaks your that veil of illusion, and the moment that happens, you're pulled out of the movie, you're back in the real world, and you don't like the movie anymore. That phenomenon has happened to me. Let me know if it's happened to y'all out there. The thing that keeps on happening, though, with Democrat politics is that they know that if this veil of illusion is broken, their own side's going to question it, and then they're going to sit out at during the next election. And they won't cross the aisle and vote for Republicans. Most of them won't, anyways. A lot of them, however, have started to realize, oh, maybe our rhetoric isn't very good. Maybe we are contributing to the demise of this great nation. Maybe we are saying really dumb things that's getting everyone hurt and making things worse. And Hakeem Jeffries has not reached that point yet. And he can't because he's a major party leader for the Democrats. So I understand the game, buddy. I understand. I don't blame you for it. I don't hate the player. I hate the game. It doesn't mean I have to respect him. It doesn't mean I have to respect what he's doing. And it doesn't mean that I have to give any accolades to CNBC, even though they're going after him a little bit harder than normal. Well, yeah, going from, 25 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour, yeah, you've increased your speed by, 5 miles per hour. Congratulations. Still going too slow. All right, you're still driving in the fast lane. You're driving in the left lane 10 miles under the speed limit, okay? That's what the mainstream media is doing right now. They are trying to bottle up as much of the traffic as they can because they know that eventually drivers are going to avoid them, they're going to go around them, and they will never pay attention to these people again. And it's been happening over and over and over again. That's why Joy Reid has gotten canceled. That's why Don Lemon has gotten canceled. They've broken the veil of illusion one too many times for their own side on the left. And people just don't listen to them anymore. At least people in their right minds. And this is slowly happening with the mainstream media. It's starting to happen with the Democrat Party. And they also know that if they don't evolve in some way, they're doomed. So, on one hand, praising the demise of a political party is a bit mean-spirited. But on the other hand, bless their hearts. They made their beds, they can lie in it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed the segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.